It's just past 5 p.m. across India, live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Global. We'll get you top stories from India and the region. I am Tanvi Taneja. And for news from the rest of the world, I'm joined by my colleague in London, Ollie Barrett. Ollie, hi.
Hello Tanvi, it's 12:30 p.m. here in London, 1:30 p.m. across Central Europe. Coming up in the next half an hour, local elections here in the UK with potential national ramifications, the latest from the Middle East and from protests in the United States. First, the headlines.
Families of Israeli hostages intensified protests in Tel Aviv and in Jerusalem as Israel awaits Hamas's response to truce deal. 8 trucks begin passing through the Erez checkpoint.
Enough, it's 7 months already. There is no time for the hostages. They will be all dead until they'll come home.
London to elect its mayor on Thursday. Incumbent Sadiq Khan up against Conservative candidate Susan Hall and Indian origin entrepreneur Tarun Gulati. Kremlin rejects US accusations of using chemical weapons in Ukraine, calls them baseless. And India witnesses a high-octane campaign for the third phase of elections, with top leaders holding rallies and roadshows in various constituencies. Up first, news from West Asia. Humanitarian aid arrived late on Wednesday to Gaza's Jabalia after Israel reopened the sole crossing on the northern edge of the strip, allowing 8 trucks to pass through the Erez checkpoint, which was destroyed during the Hamas attack on 7th of October. Reopening the Erez crossing has been one of the main pleas of international aid agencies for months. The crossing was reopened the day US Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited Israel and met Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, though the announcement was made last month. The Israeli government has reopened an additional crossing point on the same day that US Secretary of State Antony Blinken called on Prime Minister Netanyahu, urging him for more aid deliveries into the enclave. Antony Blinken, along with Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, visited the Kerem Shalom crossing, where he told journalists that progress on improving humanitarian access to Gaza was real, but it needed to be accelerated.
The progress is real, but given the need, given the immense need in Gaza, it needs to be accelerated, it needs to be sustained. And as we focus on all of the necessary inputs, the number of trucks that are moving, what matters the most is the impact.
Blinken also said that Israel has made important compromises over a proposal for a deal that would see hostages released in exchange for a ceasefire, but it was up to Hamas to accept the deal.
Israel has made very important compromises in the proposal that's on the table, demonstrating its desire and willingness to get this agreement and get it done. Now, as we've been saying, it's on Hamas. Hamas has to decide whether it will take this deal and actually advance the situation for the people that it purports to care about in Gaza. There is no time for delay. There's no time for further haggling. The deal is there. They should take it.
And DD India's Sarah Coates sent us this report from Tel Aviv on the humanitarian aid situation in Gaza.
This is the largest crossing point in the north of the Strip and will certainly provide access to a large number of trucks bringing things in to this area, which aid groups say is in famine. Now, it was closed for the last 7 months, really destroyed by Hamas on October 7 during that onslaught in southern Israel. But Israel does say that it will be open from every day now. Now, this was really one of the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken's aims of his trip to the Middle East. And what we've been hearing from the United States these past few months is that Israel must provide more aid into the Gaza Strip. And this, of course, comes amid these famine warnings that we've been hearing from the United Nations, that famine is due to set in this month. Now, just to expand on these aid deliveries a little bit more, the Pentagon has this morning come out to say that this floating pier that the United States is constructing off the coast of Gaza, that it is now 50% complete and is expected to be ready in the coming days. We do understand that the pier is actually done and that the causeway is now being worked on. So this will certainly bring a lot of relief to these people in Gaza, with aid groups saying that currently only around 200 trucks have been entering the enclave on a daily basis, and this is certainly far down from the 500 or so trucks that were going into Gaza pre-war.
Now, the families of Israeli hostages who have been held by Hamas since the October 7th attacks have intensified their efforts to demand urgent release of their relatives. Protests took place in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, where demonstrators were chanting slogans and blocked a main highway during the morning rush hour. India has reiterated its support for a two-state solution where Palestinians are able to live freely in an independent country with due regard to the security needs of Israel. Delivering an address to a United Nations General Assembly meeting on Gaza, India's permanent representative to the UN, Ruchira Kamboj, said that India's position on the conflict has been clear and has been stated on several occasions.
The ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas has led to a large-scale loss of civilian lives, especially women and children, and a humanitarian crisis which is simply unacceptable. We have strongly condemned the deaths of civilians in the conflict. Only a two-state solution achieved through direct and meaningful negotiations between both sides on final status issues will deliver an enduring peace. India is committed to supporting a two-state solution where the Palestinian people are able to live freely in an independent country within secure borders with due regard to the security needs of Israel.
On to Europe now. UK voters are casting votes today for local and mayoral elections. My colleague Ollie Barrett is in London. He gives us more on this and other stories making headlines around the world. Ollie, a test for Sunak's leadership today?
It is, Tanvi. Even though he isn't actually on the ballot himself, voters in England and Wales are heading to the polls today, with a number of those local elections taking place. It is the final scheduled polling day before a general election at some point in the coming months. So the local results are seen as an indicator of how the parties might do when it comes to voting on a national level. The ruling Conservatives are predicted, according to the polls, to do badly. That could raise questions about Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's leadership of his party. DD India's John Beaver reports.
There are a host of elections going on today in England and Wales. There's a by-election with a new MP being decided in Blackpool South. That's up in the northwest of England. Elsewhere, 107 local councils, 11 mayors, 37 police and crime commissioners are being elected. Now, these elections matter for local people because a lot of day-to-day decisions are made by local councils. Things like road maintenance or waste collections or library services. But the reason these local elections are even more significant is because they're normally quite a good way to reflect on how people might feel about the national situation. We, of course, have a general election coming up in this country to elect a new government. That has to be held before January, but the current best guesses are that it will take place in the autumn of this year. If the polls are to be believed, the ruling Conservative Party could do very badly in these elections today. If you go back to 1995, the Conservatives had their worst ever results at local elections, and 2 years later lost the general election by a landslide to Tony Blair's Labour Party. If things go very badly, some think there could be calls for a no confidence vote and a leadership challenge to try and replace Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. But many senior Conservatives are calling for unity ahead of a general election, no matter what the local results are today. John Beaver in Bristol, reporting for DD India.
Russia has responded to US allegations that the Kremlin has used chemical weapons against Ukrainian forces in violation of the Chemical Weapons Convention. On Wednesday, Washington accused Russia of using chlorpyrifos, which is a choking agent, on Ukrainian military figures and using riot control agents as a method of warfare. The Kremlin is calling all accusations groundless and is stressing that Russia remains bound by its obligations under the Chemical Weapons Treaty. Meanwhile, a Russian ballistic missile has struck a postal depot in Ukraine's Odessa. The attack marked the third missile strike on the city in 3 days. 14 people were injured in the attack, 13 received assistance on the spot, and 1 was hospitalized. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry is claiming that its forces have taken control of the settlement of Berdichi in eastern Ukraine. Campaigning for the US presidential election is well underway in swing states in the United States, with incumbent Joe Biden set to talk infrastructure and jobs during a visit to Delaware later today. Former President and Republican challenger Donald Trump made it to Wisconsin and Michigan on Wednesday for rallies, despite ongoing court cases, and he took a dig at his rival.
Biden's weakness has led the planet to the edge of nuclear war. I will bring the world glorious new peace, and I will make the following statement. I am the only one that can say this, I believe. I know them all, and they respect me. They don't respect our country anymore. It's a country that's in decline, but they respect me, and we're going to have it back very soon. We're going to have a great country very soon. But I'll say this. I will prevent World War III. I'm the only one that's going to do it.
Over 1,000 demonstrators have been held at top American university campuses, intensifying tensions amid a prolonged protest movement about Gaza, which has pitted student protesters at times against university authorities. At the University of California in Los Angeles, riot police reinforcements arrested some pro-Palestinian protesters and dispersed protest camps, which had been targeted by pro-Israel groups the previous night. Tanvi, over to you in Delhi.
Are also studying in the United States, so India's foreign ministry has also responded to the matter just a little while ago. Thank you, Ollie Barrett, joining us all from London. So let's tell you about what the foreign ministry of India said. Speaking on the United States Columbia University protests, India's external affairs ministry said that no Indian students or their families have yet contacted them. He added that Indian nationals must follow local laws.
So far, no Indian students or their families have contacted us for any assistance in regard to disciplinary action which has been taken for their participation in the protest. But at the same time, we also want to say that we expect all our citizens at home and abroad to respect local laws and regulations.
So in this weekly briefing, India's Ministry of External Affairs said that a protest has been registered with China against their illegal attempts to alter facts in connection with Beijing's construction activities in the Shaksgam Valley.
We have never accepted the so-called China-Pakistan boundary agreement of 1963, through which Pakistan unlawfully attempted to cede the area to China, and have consistently conveyed our rejection of the same. We have registered a protest with the Chinese side against illegal attempts to alter facts on the ground. We further reserve the right to take necessary measures to safeguard our interests.
You're watching DD India Global, still to come on the show. South Korea's parliament agrees new inquiry into a deadly Halloween crowd crush in Seoul in 2022. We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Thank you for staying with us. I am Tanvi Taneja and you're watching DD India Global. Up next, the latest on India's elections. So campaigning has intensified as the third phase of election is just 5 days away now. Leaders from various political parties are leaving no stone unturned to appeal voters to come out in large numbers and exercise their franchise. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a rally at Surendranagar in Gujarat. The Prime Minister said that Congress is trying to divide the Hindu society.
कांग्रेस के अध्यक्ष श्रीमान मल्लिकार्जुन खड़गे जी, उन्होंने एक बड़ा गंभीर विषय छेड़ा है और उन्होंने कहा है भगवान राम और भगवान शिव, उसके संबंध में बड़ा खतरनाक बयान दिया है और वे बदिरादे से दिया गया हुआ स्टेटमेंट है। हिंदू समाज को बांटने के लिए खेल खेला गया है।
Senior BJP leader and Home Minister Amit Shah addressed a rally in Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh. He said Prime Minister Narendra Modi rebuilt the Kashi Vishwanath corridor and Asia's largest airport is being built in Uttar Pradesh. Leaders of opposition parties are also holding rallies and public meetings across different parts of the country. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi addressed a public rally in Shivamoga, Karnataka today. He said that the Mahalakshmi scheme will change the political scenario in India.
कर्नाटक में हमने 5 गारंटी दी। कर्नाटक गृह लक्ष्मी 2000 रुपए हर महिला के बैंक अकाउंट में, मतलब 24,000 रुपए साल के, 2,000 रुपए महीने के कर्नाटक के हर महिला के बैंक अकाउंट में गृह लक्ष्मी स्कीम। महालक्ष्मी स्कीम हिंदुस्तान की अगली सरकार बनाने जा रही है।
Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav addressed a public rally in Badaun in Uttar Pradesh. Akhilesh Yadav said that the Indy Alliance has decided to waive farmers' loans after coming to power. The traditional glass industry of Firozabad in Uttar Pradesh is suffering a huge slump due to supply chain disruptions and the fall in demand for glass, both domestic and globally. In election season, this has become a major issue in this North Indian parliamentary constituency. DD India's Amritpal Singh reports.
What comes to your mind when you think of these gorgeous glass lamps and eye-catching figurines? That these are from Belgium or France? No, don't go that far. Firozabad, a small dusty town in the northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, has been manufacturing over 80% of all utility and decoration-based glass products for India's domestic market for several decades. It also exports these products to countries like Australia, Brazil, Canada, the United States and the United Kingdom. No wonder then that this industrial town is called the Glass City of India. These artisans also manufacture lampwork glass to produce unique handicrafted products, especially the famous bangles of Firozabad. But the 2 centuries-old industry is slowly losing its glitter, and that has become a burning issue here in election season. Factory owners and workers complain of issues like supply chain disruptions, to lack of skilled manpower, to the onslaught from cheaper alternatives like plastic.
The basic requirement in this industry is skilled labor, lack of skilled labor, because the size of industry is growing up very fast. That requires skilled manpower. We want a basic institute which can improve the skill of the labor so that we can compete with the global players.
For the further need and for the requirements of the generation, upcoming generation, we need to ban the plastics. I know it is cheaper than the glass, but for the future and all the survivals and all that we see daily on the basis, like we have something facing for the due to plastics.
Workers here don't want to say it on camera, but many of those we spoke to tell us off camera that this has led to disenchantment with the political class. The Firozabad glass industry is estimated to be more than 1 lakh crore rupees, which roughly comes about $12 million. Both the manufacturers and workers, which are over 10 lakh, directly and indirectly involved in the manufacturing of the glassware here, say they expect from the representative to push for policies that give a boost to this industry. With cameraman Yogesh Kumar, this is Amritpal Singh for DD India in Firozabad, Uttar Pradesh.
On to India's central state of Madhya Pradesh, where 9 seats are going to polls on 7th of May. Among the key seats in the state are Vidisha, from where former Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan is contesting. DD India's Akshay Dongre reports on the political battle of Vidisha.
The Great Stupa at Sachi, one of the oldest stone structures in India, dating back to over 2000 years. The Udaygiri caves of the Gupta period from the 3rd century CE, containing some of the oldest surviving Hindu temples and iconography in India. These are some of the many treasures that Vidisha in Madhya Pradesh holds. The historic city goes to polls in the 3rd phase of the 2024 Indian general elections. BJP has fielded Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the longest serving Chief Minister of the state. Chauhan says people of Madhya Pradesh will vote for him once again because of his previous works.
This is my family. This is not about politicians or the public. We will help in building a developed India, the development and the welfare of the people, and especially we will leave no stone unturned in empowering our sisters to move forward.
The Indian National Congress has fielded Pratap Bhanu Sharma against Chauhan. Sharma says that not enough has been done by the government in the last 3 decades.
What should we say, what the people of the region are saying? One's face does not become big by beating drums, or by publicity, or by getting photos published in newspaper.
The people of Vidisha say that while the constituency has seen a major transformation, a lot more is required to be done in terms of generating employment and utilizing the potential of the region.
A lot of development has happened. Roads have been built, but we need more employment generation in the region.
There is a development, but inflation is a major concern.
We just spoke to Shivraj Singh Chauhan, former Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, who is also a candidate from Vidisha.
Lok Sabha constituency. He has been a member of parliament for 5 terms and a chief minister for 18 years, one of the tallest figure in the politics of Madhya Pradesh. Once again, going for polls in the Lok Sabha election from Vidisha constituencies. It remains to be seen that whether this love will also translate into votes and whether a new record will be made in Vidisha Lok Sabha constituency. With camera person Ramakant Sharma, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
Moving on now, Air India, the flight carrier, becomes now the sole carrier to operate the A350 between India and Dubai. The Tata Group-owned carrier is now operating a daily service between Delhi and Dubai. The plane features a 3-class cabin configuration with 316 seats, including 28 private business suites with full flat beds. Air India commenced services by operating the first Delhi-Dubai flight on Wednesday and plans to fly the wide-body plane on more overseas routes in the coming months. And next we take a look at what else is happening across the world. South Korea's parliament approved a bill to launch fresh inquiry into the Halloween crowd crush that happened in Seoul in 2022. A committee made on the recommendations of the two parties will investigate the incident. Around 160 people were killed in the crush at that time. The Far East Film Festival 2024 hosted Indonesian film night at Casa Contadinanza Castle, Udine, Italy on April 29th. 300 guests from various countries were invited to the event. The festival is one of the biggest platforms for Asian and European films, attracting audiences and filmmakers from across continents. And diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in March, famous Japanese classical pianist Fujiko Hemming passed away at the age of 92 years. Hemming had made her debut as pianist at the age of 17. Her debut album, La Campanella, released in 1999, had sold more than 2 million copies, an unprecedented figure for a classical music album. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India Global. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. And for those on the go, you can catch all the latest news and updates on our DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen